This is extended coverage of Hurricane Ian after the storm on Florida 24 Network.
Right now on Florida 24 Network, responding to Floridians in need, from water rescues to stories of hope and survival amid the storm's devastation.
It was God. He took care of all of us.
We have team coverage from across our state on Ian's aftermath, plus the ways to help the victims. Hello and welcome to Florida 24 Network. I'm Jennifer Dela Cruz. We are bringing you coverage of Hurricane Ian after the storm, and we'll continue to be here updating you on Ian's impacts as we get them. We are getting a better grasp of the storm's destruction, especially in hard-hit Southwest Florida. These are before and after pictures of Sanibel, the one on the right after the storm, and you can see the homes heavily damaged and trees down there, along with Ian's impact on the shoreline. Florida is in emergency mode. First responders are working on rescues like these in Northport. It's obviously a very emotional time. One victim describing what was going through her mind on Friday as this was all happening.
My grandparents are still at the house. We have animals there. They don't want to leave the animals. So whenever we left on the boat, it was just a scary feeling, like you don't know if you're ever going to see them again, if you're going to see your house again, your animals again. So that's why I'm a little shooken up. It's just you never know what you're going to come back to. I mean, we already lost both of our cars, so it's a very scary feeling.
Heartbreaking experiences for these people. Power crews are also working to get the lights back on. All of this happening as some Floridians are coming back to find their homes and businesses destroyed. This is video out of Fort Myers Beach. The FEMA administrator in Florida on Friday touring Ian's destructive path with the governor. Officials also giving us a state death toll and warning it could fluctuate. Capitol reporter For Saunders filed this report Friday afternoon.
Take you to a shelter. We'll be all right. You'll have food.
As rescue operations continue for a second day in the Sunshine State,
there's been really a Herculean effort.
1,000 first responders are in action. They've checked on 3,000 homes along the southwest coast so far, now moving inland. More than 700 getting help, but for some, it came too late.
So where we stand right now on fatalities?
Authorities giving the first death toll. At least one storm-related fatality confirmed in Polk County, 20 others unconfirmed in Charlotte and Collier counties. A rescue diver also finding remains in a Lee County home.
We do not know exactly how many. We do not know what the situation is, and before we comment on that, we want to be transparent, but we just don't know that number. And we got a couple of other situations where we had that particular type situation.
Officials also still checking shelter-in-place notices. Floridians who rode out the storm filing more than 15,000. The latest report, all but about 3,000 now marked as safe. Those seeking missing loved ones told to alert authorities at missing.fl.gov. Meanwhile, cleanup continues. FDOT inspecting more than 1,400 bridges and clearing more than 1,100 miles of state roads.
What I want to say is we are here to support.
And the nation's FEMA administrator traveling with the governor Friday to survey the damage and offer help. The pair stopping along Ian's path from Lee to St. Johns counties.
FEMA is here to support these ongoing efforts right now to continue the life-saving missions that are still ongoing, but also to begin to support the recovery mission.
Florida currently has 13 counties declared as disaster areas. That opens up federal funds for temporary housing and repair assistance. About 34,000 Floridians have already registered with FEMA to get that aid. That's the latest out here at the state EOC. I'm Forrest Saunders reporting.
We've been telling you about the destruction to the Sanibel Causeway. Ian washed away several portions of the bridge, which is the only road that provides access to Sanibel Island and Captiva. Vanessa Ariza shows us how people on the barrier islands are now being evacuated to the mainland.
We made our way to the Sanibel Marina, and this is where rescue crews have been taking their boats and heading out to Sanibel Island to rescue people. I want to give you an idea of the scene here. It's filled with boats because it's marina now. All of those boats here on dry land, even across the way. Now, again, I told you that fire rescue, along with a number of other agencies, are out here. Take a look at this. This is video of people who were stuck on Sanibel Island. They're being rescued off. A number of agencies are out here, and in fact, they have been out here for the past 2 days trying to do whatever they can, whether that's bringing food, water, personal boats, just helping to try to get those people who remain on Sanibel Island to get them back here. We actually caught up with one man. He had his 6 corgis with him. Go ahead and take a listen at how he describes what the storm was like as it moved in.
When the storm came, it was like the water started coming up, and it's like, oh gosh. And at one point, the water was hitting the glass of the doors, as we were 500 yards like from behind Sundial, and the waves were hitting the doors and stuff, and we were up on the counters and stuff.
Right now, if you're wondering how can I help, what can I do, monetary donations, they are always helpful. But if by the chance that you are in this area, the Sanibel Marina, he said we could really use food, water for all of the evacuees who are coming in from those islands. As soon as they get off, he said we want something, we want to give them something. So if you got food, water, he said that would be extremely helpful. And again, private citizens are bringing their boats, trying to help in any manner that they can. And that is the silver lining, if you will, in all of this, that you continue to see people who simply want to help. In Sanibel Island, Vanessa Ariza, Florida 24 Network.
Amid Ian's aftermath, Orlando is dealing with historic flooding. On Thursday, hundreds of residents from one community had to be rescued, and on Friday, some residents had returned for personal items only to find that little had changed. Florida 24 reporter Katie LeGrone explains.
Nearly 48 hours after Hurricane Ian refused to spare Central Florida, Orlando started to look a little more like its nickname, City Beautiful.
We're going to start to recover slowly. Water's going to recede.
Water that overwhelmed pretty Lake Eola Park in downtown, causing historic flooding in the streets, receded. Residents anxious for normal.
I'm good. I mean, I'm ready to go back to work tomorrow.
But in other parts of Orange County, going back seems almost impossible.
This water's not going anywhere because the water from every place else comes here.
Just 15 minutes from downtown Orlando and Orla Vista, homeowners remain underwater and angry. The area prone to bad flooding continued to fail.
Did you lose everything?
Pretty much.
We had to leave everything. And lost everything again. This doesn't make any sense. They should have done a better job of pumping that water out.
This homeowner fled from her home as Hurricane Ian barreled down, leaving behind pets, even her dad's ashes.
We had to leave them in there, and the animals. It breaks my heart.
Friday, her son went back to get them. Clarence Laster, one of hundreds taken to higher ground by county water rescue teams Thursday.
When I opened the door, water gushing down there.
Also had to go back
inside the house.
This time on a neighbor's boat to get his medicine. The 30-year resident here could only sum up Ian's impact like this.
2017, the same thing happened, but this time it's worse. It's twice as bad, maybe 3 times as bad. Man, yeah, I think this time is the end of this neighborhood.
Among the streets still underwater here, Hope Circle. While some residents are losing it, others are still trying to keep it alive.
Some good going to come out of this, like it always does.
And while pumps will help get the water out of that community, here in Orlando, Ian dropped a record-breaking 14 inches of rain here. That will naturally have to recede. When I asked the city spokesperson how long that would take, she said, we don't know. This has never happened before. In Orlando, Katie LeGrone, back to you.
Emergency officials want to remind everyone floodwater is dangerous, and there have been images posted online of people playing in it, and Collier County officials noting why this is not a good idea, saying they've received reports of sewage, alligators, and snakes in floodwater. And the sheriff's office posting this video of flooding on Thursday. There's also a concern the water could be electrified as Ian brought down power lines and knocked out power. The water may also contain hazardous waste. With first responders stretched thin already, they're asking people not to put themselves in any unnecessary danger. The CDC warns contact with floodwater can cause wound infection, rashes, gastrointestinal illness, and even tetanus. And if you do come into contact with floodwater, the CDC says to wash the area with soap and water as soon as possible. Alcohol-based wipes or sanitizer will also work.
The house is higher than this driveway.
Quentin Smith gave us a tour of his flooded home in Bartow.
There's water over there by the wall. It was coming in the front door.
and it's rising.
Smith tells me when the lakes in Winter Haven get too high, officials there release water into Peace Creek, and that's what's flooding his home. He tells me it's happened 4 times since 2004.
So yeah, Quentin, I think your floors are starting to come up.
Yeah, this floor turned loose now.
So floors are coming up, and you see the water's coming in, and you can feel the current going through your front yard.
I'm going to let the insurance company deal with it.
Farther south in Hardy County, a similar story, the Peace River turning into a lake, homes surrounded by floodwaters and RVs left bobbing in the current.
Siempre evacuamos.
Alfredo Sanchez and his wife Liliana Zepeda evacuated with their 3 kids, and they are glad that they did. He can't even see his house, the water is so high.
Pero está lleno de agua.
This is the Hardy County Wildlife Refuge. It is flooded. The teams here scrambled to get all their animals to safety, which I'm told they did, but one emu has been left behind. You can see him walking behind me in circles in that cage.
You could hear things flying, you know, and after about 4 or 5 hours of it, I said, God, I don't know if I can take much more of this. You know, nerves were just shot.
Brenda Hewitt rode out the storm inside the Pioneer restaurant in Zolfo Springs with her 86-year-old mom and about 10 other family members.
I know it was God that took care of all of us. It was God. He took care of all of us. And I'm telling you, there is a real God, and he does care.
Michael Paluska, Florida 24 Network.
As we learn more about the extent of the damage, we know many of you want to help. So here's what you can do. The state's official relief program is the Florida Disaster Fund. First Lady Casey DeSantis is leading that effort. To donate, visit floridadisasterfund.org or text 20222. As rescue numbers continue to climb, OneBlood desperately needs donations. All blood types are needed, especially O negative and O positive types. Head to oneblood.org to find a donation site in your area. And you can also volunteer your time. Head to volunteerflorida.org. There are opportunities to help all over the state. You can assist with things like shelters, distributing supplies, and mental health services, and there are even some options to help out virtually.
Stay with Florida 24 Network for continuing coverage of Hurricane Ian after the storm.